Colin Cowherd is back on the Caitlin Clark train, and he's back calling out the haters. Let's listen to him, man.
So Caitlin Clark, third season in the WNBA, has already set the record. She had another game in which she had at least 20 points and 10 assists. And I have been saying when she broke into the league, people said her comp is Steph Curry. Now, I think stylistically, the way she plays her game has got some Steph Curry. I think, though, in terms of an iconic player, she's more Michael Jordan.
The record. Colin Cowherd went on record and stated she is not the coach for CC, bruh. Now listen to NBC reporters during the game, y'all. Listen to this right here.
Tonight, Caitlin Clark has been responsible for 38 of Indiana's 77 points.
The reaction from fans hit instantly, and are truly moving in the same direction.
Heard them. Calm down, everybody, and definitely don't read the comments. But whatever the case may be, Caitlin Clark need her Phil Jackson. And as of right now, the closest thing to Caitlin Clark, Phil Jackson, is Lisa Bluter. And the Indiana Fever need to figure out a way to get that young lady, I'm gonna call her a young lady, to get
greatness. And I've always felt her game is Steph. I think she has a chance to be Jordan-esque, which is multiple championships if she can get the right coach and the right running mate. And I think she has that player.
Y'all see that? Y'all see that slight at Stephanie White? He says she has the right player, but she don't got the right coach. Caitlin Clark need her field.
Through traps, carrying the offense possession after possession, only for the post-game conversation to feel strangely disconnected from reality fans had just witnessed. While Clark spoke with the exhaustion and honesty of someone desperate to win, head coach Stephanie White answered questions with vague language about discipline, rotations, combinations, and defensive communication. To many fans, it sounded less like accountability and more like someone trying to avoid staring directly at the real problems in front of them. And that frustration only intensified when cameras later caught Clark visibly arguing with the coaching staff during a game, passionately defending her reads, her pace, and the style of basketball that made her one of the most electrifying players the sport has ever seen. The footage spread across the internet like wildfire because people recognized something deeper than a simple disagreement. They saw a superstar growing tired of being restrained. They saw a player who thrives in speed, instinct, spacing, and offensive freedom being pulled back into a slower, more rigid structure that feels completely opposite to her natural rhythm. That tension has now become the defining story surrounding Indiana's season. National media voices like Colin Cowherd added fuel to the fire by openly questioning whether White is truly the right coach for Clark long-term. Cowherd argued that generational talents require systems built entirely around their strengths, not systems that force them to constantly compromise. And honestly, when you watch the games, you can understand why the conversation keeps growing louder. Clark's best moments happen when she controls the pace, pushes in transition, manipulates defenders, and creates chaos with her vision and deep shooting range. But too often Indiana's offense looks hesitant, cramped, and overcomplicated, almost like a Ferrari being asked to drive through city traffic with the emergency brake still on. Fans notice every missed rotation, every stagnant possession, every lineup combination that struggles to protect the paint, and every moment where Clark appears emotionally drained from carrying such a heavy burden. Meanwhile, the pressure surrounding the franchise keeps building because expectations are enormous. This is not just another rebuilding team anymore. Clark transformed the Fever into one of the biggest attractions in sports overnight. Arenas filled up, television ratings exploded, and every game suddenly carried national attention. That is why losses like the one against Washington feel so much bigger than a single result in the standings. People are not just reacting to the score. They are reacting to what they believe the organization is becoming. Some fans believe White's equal opportunity philosophy is clashing with the reality that Clark is at her best in a heliocentric offense where everything flows through her decisions. Others argue that no coach should completely surrender structure to one player this early in her career. But regardless of which side people choose, one thing is undeniable. The emotional temperature around this team is rising fast. The frustration is visible on the court, in interviews, online discussions, and even in the energy surrounding the fan base itself. And now the entire basketball world is watching closely to see which direction Indiana chooses. Do they continue trying to force balance and structure, hoping chemistry eventually develops? Or do they fully embrace Clark's fast-paced vision and rebuild the entire identity of the franchise around her unique genius? Because history shows that when a once-in-a-generation player starts openly pushing back against the system around them, the clock starts ticking.
In year 4. So Caitlin comes into the league, rookie sensation. Year 2, last year she's hurt. Year 3, okay, her stats are great again. When is she going to start winning at the next level? She has not won a playoff series yet. And so my take is she has her Pippin, Kelsey Mitchell.
The pressure surrounding Indiana Fever is no longer just about wins and losses anymore. It has become a full-scale debate about leadership, identity, and whether the franchise truly understands what it has in Caitlin Clark. As the noise around the team keeps growing louder, more fans and analysts are pointing to 3 major changes they believe head coach Stephanie White must make before this season completely spirals out of control. The first is simple, but emotionally massive. When Clark carries the franchise through impossible moments, the coach has to publicly acknowledge it. Not every answer needs to revolve around one player, but when your superstar explodes in the 4th quarter, drags the team out of disaster, and keeps the arena alive almost single-handedly, pretending it was merely a team effort, feels cold and disconnected from reality. Fans do not want manufactured PR language in those moments. They want honesty. They want the coach to stand in front of the cameras and openly recognize greatness when it happens, because that public trust between superstar and coach is often what transforms talented teams into championship organizations. The second issue revolves around transparency. Supporters have become increasingly frustrated with confusing rotation decisions, especially surrounding veteran players who disappear from a lineup with almost no explanation. People are not demanding secret tactical blueprints or locker room drama. They simply want clarity. When players sit for multiple games and suddenly appear for meaningless minutes late in blowouts, fans start filling the silence with their own theories, and those theories almost always become more toxic than the truth itself. Communication calms chaos. Silence feeds it. And the third, perhaps biggest issue of all, is the ongoing off-ball conversation surrounding Clark. For games into the season, the idea of moving one of the most dynamic offensive creators in basketball away from constant control of the offense has become one of the defining controversies in the league. Every press conference comment about balance, shared creation, or equal opportunity basketball seems to pour more fuel onto the fire. Critics believe the solution is not complicated at all. Stop talking about philosophy and let the game itself answer the debate. Put the ball in Clark's hands, let her dictate pace. Let her manipulate defenses, let her create chaos in transition, and build the identity of the franchise around the thing that makes her special in the first place. That is why comments from media personalities like Colin Cowherd hit so hard across the basketball world. He did not say the roster was hopeless or that the franchise lacked talent. His argument was that the coaching approach itself might be the central issue. And that kind of criticism does not disappear after one decent win or a carefully worded press conference. It only fades when results consistently match expectations. Every upcoming Fever game now feels less like a normal regular season matchup and more like a public trial for the organization. Every substitution, every timeout, every late game possession, every defensive breakdown, and every emotional interaction on the sideline is being examined under a microscope. The pressure is enormous because Clark changed the scale of attention around this franchise forever. Empty seats, leaked frustrations, overtime collapses, and heroic performances that still end in losses are not the signs of a healthy contender. They are warning signs that something deeper may be breaking underneath the surface. And now the entire basketball world is watching to see whether Stephanie White evolves alongside her superstar, whether the organization fully commits to Clark's vision, or whether this growing tension eventually explodes into a decision nobody in Indianapolis wants to make.